Hey guys, it's Andrew Esquivel here back with another tutorial, and today I'm going to be going over how to use QCheck. Now QCheck is a neat little software that basically allows you to test the capabilities of bandwidth between two computers on your local area network. But it also has a few other features like response time and traceroute. We're just going to be going over a few of the options here. So, in order to get QCheck, you need to go to the website of the maker of the software, and I'll put a link to it in the description. If you don't want to go through the link, you can obviously Google QCheck and find it that way. And what's going to end up happening is, in order to download it, they're going to require you to fill out some information like your address and phone number and email address, and then once you fill all that out, they'll email you a download link to the installer. So when you get the installer, this is what it's going to be right here, this little guy, and you install it on both your host computer and your client computer. So one's the server, one's the client. And how it's going to work is, once you install it on both computers, you only need to run it on one of the computers. Once it's installed, the desktop shortcut is going to look like this. So obviously, close it out, open it back up. It's right there. So one thing I need to note about using a software like this is there will be firewall issues. Okay? I don't know what ports these run through, so I couldn't tell you which ones to open. So, basic thing to do, since you're only testing your LAN network, just disconnect your LAN network device from the internet, turn your firewalls off, and test it that way. This includes your hardware firewalls and your software firewalls. If you're using Windows Firewall, just turn it off, because that can be a little hard to configure. Especially since I don't know what ports to open. But if you're using Komodo, it's a little more simple. Once you start using the program and it tries to connect between the client and the server, Komodo will pop up on the side asking if you want to allow the application to do what it needs to do. Just allow it and it'll configure itself to work right. So that's the little issue you need to know with the firewalls. So, getting around to actually how to use the software. Assuming you've installed it on both computers, both end devices in this case, all you really need to do is go from endpoint 1, which is the computer that you're using the software on right now, and you're just going to type in the IP address of this computer, the one that you're using right now. For me, it's going to be 192.168.1.2. Okay, one thing to note, I do not know if this works with IPv6. Haven't tested it out, have no desire to test it out. You're on your own when it comes to that. Okay. I'm going to cheat a little bit, because this is just a tutorial to help you figure out how to use this. Now, your endpoint 2 would obviously be your client, because this is your server. You want to type in the IP address of your client. So whatever is the other computer you're trying to connect to, that's the one you use. Now, really quickly, in case you don't know how to figure out what your IP address is, really simple procedure. Just go into command prompt, type in ipconfig /all, and you get a giant list of everything. Normally it's your Ethernet adapter, your local area connection adapter, one of them. And as you can see, mine is in fact 192.168.1.2 as my IPv4 address. So that's the simple way to figure out what your IP address is. Now, like I said before, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm not using two computers to do the tests because it's not necessary for this tutorial. Just know that the endpoint 2 is the other computer. So 192.168.1.2. Yes, I realize I'm connecting to myself, the same computer. Doesn't matter, I'm just showing you how to use this. Okay, so our options for our protocols for the data transfer are TCP, UDP, SPX, and IPX. We really only want to focus on UDP and TCP because the other ones can be a little glitchy and hard to figure out. Not really something that's really standard for what you want to check. So if you want to use these two, you're on your own. But first off, let's start with TCP. Okay, so we can do a response time test. And keep in mind that these numbers that you can use are limited to what the software allows. If you hover your mouse over, it'll tell you what the range of integers or numbers that you can input to make this work. So data size in this test is limited to a certain amount. I don't know why it's not showing me over there, but anyway, with the default settings, you'll notice that once we type in the IP addresses, the button that says run is in green, means we can test it. So we click run, and it does the test. Now, obviously, since I'm connecting to myself, it's really quick. Go figure. And just do it as many times as you want. It's not going to hurt anything. And the other test we have is throughput. Now, throughput is limited to 1,000 kilobytes. So, just for the sake of testing as much as I can, I'm going to type in 1,000. And just as before, you click run. It does its test. Now, sometimes you may get this issue right here. It says the test ran too quickly to give reliable results. Try the test again after increasing the data size. You can't increase it past 1,000. Just run it again, run it again, run it again. I'm getting this error most likely because I'm connecting to myself. You may still get the error when connecting to another computer though, because I've had that error before. So keep in mind, it can be a little iffy. Whatever the case may be, that's how you do it. Now the trace route, TCP, UDP, I can run that, and I'm not entirely sure, but obviously it's going to tell you where the hops and data were between your local area connection. Could be useful if you're trying to figure out how the heck things are going in your network. But moving on, you can select UDP and run the same tests over and over again. Go back to throughput, run it. Obviously my data rates are going to be a little different. Seems like it's steady, but once again I'm connecting to myself, kind of cheating here, but you get the point. Streaming UDP IPX. I haven't really fiddled around with this, and I'm not entirely sure what it does. Interesting. Stopping the test. Stop by user. Okay. I think I get what this means. Okay, so this is basically pulling a constant data speed between the two end devices that you choose. I think that's what it is. And obviously, trace route, I'm connecting to myself, so there's not much of a detail there. SPX. I didn't really fiddle around with those. Like I said, for those, you're kind of on your own. But as far as QCheck goes, that's just about all you need to know. It's a neat little software that makes testing these kind of things really easy because there's no command prompt things that you really need to know as long as you know the IP addresses of the end devices. So, that's all there is to the tutorial, guys. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, subscribe, show your friends. Check out my other videos. I got a bunch of reviews and tutorials that may be helpful to you. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.